What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. You know what time it is. It's Tuesday night. Two mics up. We back live with another incredible episode. And tonight's conversation is going to be all about accountability. We have an amazing guest that's really doing, I guess I would say God's work. It's life changing, and it really helps really take a deep dive and look at ourselves and look at the things that, or not the things, but the habits, the toxic habits that we have, that really hold us back and really deny us or stop us from elevating ourselves to reach our own greatness. But before I get into tonight's conversation, I see some of you joining us. Welcome. Get comfortable. Let us know where you're joining us from in the chat. I thank you for being here. But I want to do a little housekeeping before we get started. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors for supporting tonight's show, our friends over at 94 Media House. So I'm going to go ahead and run this brief commercial. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side and get into tonight's great conversation.
94 Media House specializes in transformative digital design that elevates your brand to new heights. Whether you need stunning graphic design, impactful branding, or a captivating web presence, our team is here to bring your vision to life. Join the ranks of successful businesses that trust 94 Media House for their digital design needs. Let's make your brand unforgettable. Contact us today.
Right, thank you, 94 Media House, for being our sponsor and being supportive of the show. So as I was saying, and again, I see more of you coming in. Come on in. Let us know where you're coming from or where you're watching us tonight in the chat. I want to just really step back and let's get real tonight, with, our guest, Lance, Coach Waterman, about accountability, habits, and what it truly takes to stop making excuses and start winning. Now tonight we're gonna dive into this gentleman's book. It's really, really an awesome read, and we're going to talk about how you can go out and get a copy, and really work towards these toxic habits that we all tend to have somewhere along the line. But I want you to walk away with one thing from tonight's conversation. Coach La's message, it's bold. His book is powerful, and his approach to growth is something every listener, male or female, can take something from. And that's what I want you all to get tonight. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome Coach La. And Coach La, let's get into it tonight, man. I'm excited, brother, for having you here. Thank you so much. How are you doing this evening, brother?
And I'm doing super fantastic as we had discussed earlier. And I just wanted to the L and A is my initials.
Yes,
it's
sir.
Coach LA is Lance Allen, but nobody calls me Lance Allen, so they just call me Coach LA. I adopted that name from way back. So I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be on this platform, man. I mean, it was like, I think I waited 2 years to get on this platform. That's how this platform, two mics up, is stacked. People are kicking the door down to get on this platform. So I'm glad I was able to do it.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And Lori, good evening, sis. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you also taking time to sit in and tune in with us this evening. My brother Clifton Durham, one of my co-hosts, bro. I appreciate you, man. Two mics up family. Yes, we in the building. Thank you for taking time. I know you busy, but I appreciate you tuning in, cuz I really do. But Lance, you spoke of that, right? Coach LA. Let's get into, because without any real story, we have to go to the beginning of the story. So I want to allow you, Lance, to take a moment, introduce yourself to our audience, and give us some history about who you are and how we ended up here today talking about your book and the work that you do.
Absolutely. This journey started in 1976. I became a summer youth counselor, and from that point, that time, I just knew that this was what I wanted to do. And so before they called it life coaching, it was called mentoring. And so I
Hmm.
got into mentoring at such an early stage of my life, because even back then I saw how our people, it was a pretty much a minority neighborhood, neighborhood that I grew up in, and so we didn't have too many Caucasian people. So I saw a lot of Hispanics and African Americans, um, youth and older people, just get stuck on things, and I wanted to do something about that. And so during the years after that, even in school, it really shaped who I was and what I wanted to become in terms of being a life coach and who I am today. So it was that one word, deciding. If if
Mm,
if we had to look back, people were not people were not deciding on what they wanted. They allowed society to decide for them, and they
mm,
allowed people and their circumstances to decide what they were going to become and who would they be going to become and how successful that they wanted to become.
mm. Well, I
So
mean, that's
it's decision making.
I, first of all, I have to say, just when you said the expansive amount of time, this was really my initial, look. I was beyond shocked of, the breadth of work that you've been doing. And then to talk about specifically, coming up in a neighborhood where you didn't see a lot of other options, and to work with those who look like you and I, like how, because as you grow and as we grow as men, life leads you into a world that's a little more vast than our community, coming
Mhm.
up, because you from New York as well, and having that, and over time, what has that really change, or like what has that changed any of your viewpoints from early on to where you are now, because the world too through that time has changed. So what reflection or what things have you seen change, and how has that impacted you in the work and how you deal with your clients, and dealing with, speaking engagements, because that's had to change and evolve over
It,
time.
it, and D, thanks for that question. Um,
Hmm.
in my book, I wrote about self doubt, uh, because at the age of 12, my father took me to what was called North Bronx. I mean, it was called North something General Hospital, joint
Hmm.
disease. And the doctor said to my father, your son's uh, uh, bones are not developing properly,
Mm,
and because of that, uh, he should avoid any contact sports, anything
mm,
that had to do with sports, because he would run the risk of breaking something and so on and so forth. So that self doubt, that stigma, and going into that hospital. This was a white it was a white doctor, and at 12, growing up in a totally black neighborhood, that kind of added a stigma that it kind of shook me up because that self-doubt crept in and it stayed with me. Because when somebody tells you that, you tend to believe them. I was 12 years old. But my mother said something funny. She said, boy, she said, if you don't get out of this house and go play with your brothers and go play with your friends, I'm going to go upside your head. So I had that in my mind, and I had what the doctor said, and so I was still hesitant. So it took me until I got to the 12th grade, where I expanded my horizon in terms of sports, and I got into track and field. And I was a skinny kid, man. I was a skinny kid. I wore glasses, so they used to call me Bones, cockeyed, cross-eyed. So that stigma followed me for a good long time until I saw guys just as skinny as I was, and wearing glasses too, and that helped. I kind of grew out of that stigma. So from 12th grade to, from 12 years old to, I think I was 16 and 17 when I got on the track and field team, and later graduating, and I think first year college did track and field. But that stigma of self-doubt, if we're not careful, can hinder a person from believing and doing the things that they hope to accomplish, because it did. It did something to me, and I wrote about it. I wrote about it but I don't know if it's chapter 5, but I wrote about it in the book. How that played a very important role in helping to shape who I was and who I became today. And even now, I don't shy away from shorts, but now and then I'm reminded I ain't got no big legs, man. So,
so some of that is still there. Some of that is still there.
Yeah,
and that's true, man. We do carry a lot of childhood angst, if you will, with us in our adult life. But what I do like, when you mention that, reading, through the book, your mantra, make a decision, move now, has clearly, like, just from listening from just that little story to your adulthood, has clearly shaped, your brand and your impact. And I wanna ask, like, how did it evolve from something personal? Because that really sounds like it was something personal, and like what we were just talking about, and into something that you now really teach others, to live by. Because I think that's really incredible, because we need that. So many of us really need that. So, like, how did that evolve?
Yeah, sure. So many people have dreams and aspirations and goals. And there's an old saying, I believe I got this from my leadership coach, Dr. Lucille Farrell Scott. And she said, Coach, nothing happens in the universe until a decision is made. I want to say that again. Nothing happens in the universe until a decision is made. Once you make the decision, then the universe conspires, right, to act on what that decision is. That's why I believe so much in the laws of attraction. A man is as he thinks. That's why I tell people, and I tell my clients, be careful what you say. Be careful with the words that you speak. And I wrote that. I also wrote that in my book in terms of the chapters called Negative Self-Talk. So going back to the original question, you have to decide whether you want to be successful or not. You can't let other people decide for you. But until you make that decision, nothing's going to happen. No movement will happen until you
Yeah.
decide this is what you want. And so I knew
Mm.
back then in 76 that this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I didn't
I
shy
get that.
away from the mic. I didn't shy away from the stage. I welcome the audience because I have something to say.
Mm.
So
Listen.
that's where that make a decision and move now. You have to decide. Yeah.
Mm. I love that because and thank you all for the comments. I want to go back, and she really had a great point. Self-doubt, um, causes anxiety that
Uh-huh.
puts a wall in front of you, which I agree. And to even go further, like what we were talking about, and continues on to say that, you know, childhood, childhood wounds, when identified, can help us see what we want, which is,
Uh-huh.
kind of is in tune with what you're talking about. And when you make that decision, Ann is saying is that that's a pivot. Now, uh I love what you say, words have energy. Like how have you been able, because that's really true. And Ann says that. How do you work with your clients? Because I think that mindset is very hard for people really to understand. Because my favorite thing is, I always say, if it's something that you want, you got to put it out into the universe, from your mouth to God's ear. Because that thought, that's your purpose. That was given to you. It's how do you go ahead and have the mental mindset to really get behind those words and actually bring those things to action. And Coach LA, like, what do you do? Like, if you have clients where you find sometimes they hit that mental mindset wall, is it a thing where you sit and go back through maybe childhood trauma, or are there techniques or styles that you use with individuals to help them break that? Because it's not easy for many of us to really understand. It is, your thought, what you believe, what you see, you can do, and you're able to do. But it's just you in the way. Like, are there any practices or things that you use with people to help them kind of
Absolutely.
get over that?
Yeah, there's two things that I promote. What is what the problem is?
Mm-hmm.
You have to name it,
Mm-hmm.
and what's causing it. Let's
Mm.
get to the root that's causing the issue.
Right.
And I would say 95% of the people know what the root is. You just have to sit with them and get to the root of the challenge. I don't like to say problem. I like to say it, the challenge. And
Okay.
oftentimes when you do that, see, as a life coach, my job is not to steer the car.
Mm.
My job is to get into the passenger seat and make sure you get there, that you don't veer
Okay.
to the left, veer to the right, or try to take a shortcut. And
Mm.
so you have to pinpoint the challenge in your life. Once you pinpoint the challenge in your life, then you have to know what's causing the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You see, my self-doubt stemmed from osteoporosis. That's the degeneration of the bones.
Mm-hmm.
That doctor told me at the age of 12. So so I knew that was I pinpointed that being the what it was and what was
Mm-hmm.
causing that
Right.
stigma. You see,
Right.
so a lot of I would like to say that people can pinpoint. They just need an assistant, like an
Mm-hmm.
and one. You see, they
Right.
need an
Right.
alley.
Right.
And so, as long as you can help to cultivate the help and help them in that direction, then it's I got it now. I didn't know, I wasn't clear on it back then, but I'm clear on it now.
Mm.
See,
Mm.
listen, my father, uh, at 16, decided that alcohol was going to be an issue for him in his life. And
Mm.
as a result of that, the family was challenged, and he eventually left the home, and we lost the house at
Mm.
16.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, I went to live with my uncle as a result of that, and going into the last year of school, that
Mm-hmm.
helped shape who I was going to later become as well, because
Right.
my mother had 5 kids in school at the same time.
Right.
And so I
Wow.
wrote about that in terms of getting into trouble for money purposes. And
Right.
so I knew I knew that was a challenge. I knew I identified it, and once I identified it, I knew what it was causing.
Right.
So I had to decide whether I was going to allow it to continue to govern my life, or me take charge over it.
Mm. Uh, all powerful things. These are real life things that so many of us deal with. On an evolving scale sometimes in life and time periods. And I want to kind of transition because you know these are sometimes these life altering events sometimes become those bad habits. Is
Mm-hmm.
that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to ask you, these bad habits sometimes people feel stuck. And as a certified life coach, you know, from your work and your experience, what's the first real step, someone can take to break that toxic cycle without feeling overwhelmed? And I think feeling overwhelmed is the most important part because it's this natural. Sometimes we get stuck in a rut, and it's just an overwhelming feeling of like, man, how am I going to work through this? And it seems like it's one bad thing after another, and it snowballs. So, from your perspective as a life coach in dealing with people, and even really designing this book, because it's in the book, you know, like how do you help them, break that? What are the first real steps that you would say helping someone so they don't feel overwhelmed?
Again, let's go back to recognition.
Mm,
Recognizing, recognizing what's sabotaging uh, your goal. Why are you allowing it to sabotage your goal? You see,
mm,
and to get back to these are, remember, these are 7 universal
mm,
toxic habits
mm,
that can and have destroyed people everywhere, anytime, at any given place. So
right,
so this just doesn't happen here in New York.
right.
It's everywhere. People
Mm-hmm,
are people are delaying gratification, delaying their dreams. So
mm-hmm,
recognizing, again, why is this thing keep coming up when I want to pursue this?
right,
Is it me? Is it because I have a fear of failure?
right.
You see, because if you have a fear of failure, then you're not going to step out of that. It's
Mm,
going to sabotage you, and you'll never want to take that plunge.
right.
So when I was young and I was growing up, uh, I chased this girl into the swimming pool.
Mm-hmm,
I think it was 10 feet. I didn't know
right.
how to swim, but I made a decision. I made a decision at a young age that I was going to chase that girl into that pool until I realized I was in the deep end, and
Wow.
I was able to get out. But I said,
Right.
man, what are you doing? So once you make a decision and you act on the decision, this is not the cartoons. You can't take it back. You can't
Nope.
rewind. It's
Nope.
once the decision is made, the action is there. And so once the action is there, you got to follow through.
Mm,
But
that
sometimes there's a price to pay for that as well,
that yep. Yep.
because you might make a wrong decision.
Yep. Well, there's
Now I
consequences.
made that
Price.
decision to chase that girl into that pool. It could have been the
Right.
wrong decision because I could have drowned.
You could have drowned. That's right. Mm,
You see,
that's powerful. That's
I wasn't
powerful.
thinking about that.
No, yeah, and I want to take a second, like for those, when we're gonna get into this right now, you did say that these habits or these toxic habits are universal. So
Hmm.
could you just take a minute and just kind of for our viewers, who are here with us live and those catching us on the playback, can you just kind of highlight those seven that are universal to all of us? Because I think a lot of us overlook that.
Absolutely. So my first universal toxic habit is my favorite. This is what this is really the platform of it was distractions. And the next one is excuses. The next one is after that is laziness. Right. The next one is negative self-talk. I believe the next one after that is procrastination. I believe the sixth one is self-doubt. And the one that we all know about is time management or poor time management. So these are 7 universal toxic habits, which are dream killers everywhere at any given point of our lives, happening to everybody.
Right.
So we're not uniquely different from the other person. People are going through these 1 or 2 or 3 of these habits.
Man, that's incredible, because I'm sitting here, I got a couple of different questions. I want to try to stay on that because one, I want to get into. Let's go this route. Let's, because this is, I think, which of the 7 toxic habits do you see destroying the most potential right now? Especially in today's society with social media being really driving the culture.
I would say distractions. You have so many things distracting not only the youth, distracting the young adults, the adults, one being TV, the type of programming on TV. You have social media can be a distraction if you're not utilizing social media for your business.
Yeah.
Okay, because the average person is devoting, I believe, is 4 to 6 hours to social media a day.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And so distraction is huge. It's huge. I wrote about distractions when I was pursuing my master's. How my wife became a good distraction in that she always wanted to watch a program on TV while I had to do a paper. So I used that distraction for a timeout. So distractions are not always bad.
Right.
You just have to keep it in a department that's going to benefit you.
That's right.
So, but I would say distraction is the number one toxic habit that can derail and has derailed a person's ambition to reach their goals, because there's so much in society today that your family can be a distraction. Your husband can be a distraction. Your wife can be a distraction. Your friends can be a distraction. Telephone can be a distraction. When driving, telephones, is a distraction. American, I believe, safety has said a lot of crashes happen because people are distracted. Don't you know? And I tell my wife this all the time. I said, when you get a phone call, your focus is on the call and not necessarily on the road. And you're driving. So you can't give attention to 2 things.
Nope.
So if you're driving and you're on the phone and something happens, immediately you're at a disadvantage.
Yep. Instant disadvantage.
So I would say, and through my research, that distraction, because it was my number one. As I had shared, Dave, that 40 and 5 is a number for me, and I'll tell you what it means.
Okay.
It took me 40 years and 5 colleges later to get my
Mm.
degree.
Wow.
I finished my bachelor's and my master's back to back. 40
Mm.
years and 5 colleges later, which means that it's never too late.
Say it again for the people in the back.
It's never
Ain't
too
never
late.
too late.
It's never too late. Now, and I did it. I did it for me and not for
Mm.
more money.
Mm. So that leads me. Then I have to ask. Then, and this is, I guess, a two-part question. Like for those watching and listening, and for those who go out and buy the book, it makes me want to ask. Then from that, one, why now? Why now do you think that this is really important for not just one segment of society, but for all people, because this impacts everyone? And two, what do you really want people to take away or learn from this book? Because I think that's also important.
Okay, so your first question is why now? Um, there's never going to be the perfect time to overcome certain things. In other words, took me 40 years and 5 colleges later, and I got out of high school. I graduated out of high school 77. I graduated with the class of 78, and by right I should have graduated from college 4 to 5 years later. That would have put me at 82 or 83.
Right.
But I didn't, and so
Mhm.
but I recognize that it was never going. It's there's never going to be the right time. You're never going to have the right set of money to focus and accomplish your goals and your dreams. And so now is the perfect time, man. With everything that's going on in society today, there's no accountability. The
Mm.
Democrats are blaming the Republicans are blaming the
Right.
Democrats. Everybody's blaming each other for this upside down economy that we have. The
Mm-hmm.
teachers are blaming the students, right? The students are blaming the teachers. Everybody's blaming somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got their finger pointed at somebody or something. But until we understand, say, you know what, we got to get to the crux of this challenge right now.
Right.
We got to stop blaming and start doing.
Mm.
So now is a good time
It
because
really.
everybody's facing something at any given point in time.
Mm-hmm.
This is not uh, an isolated incident. These habits
Right.
are affecting everybody, at least two or three. I was at a book release, and these two young ladies were laughing, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, I can identify with 3 or 4 of them."
Mm.
So I said, "Why aren't you buying the book?"
Facts.
So if
Facts.
you identify with 3 or 4 of these challenges and you're doing nothing about it,
Mm-hmm.
that makes no sense.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever.
So
And
it's a good time than any time. Now is a good time.
no, it's the perfect time. And I mean, that's why I asked, because just listening and talking and conversing, like it feels that there's a buildup. And I had to ask that because I do feel, don't wait. Now, as Lori said in the chat in the comments, this is your coach in a book.
Coaching the book.
And if you can identify with these things that we're talking about, why not go out and get yourself the help and the assistance? Because this is a good starting place. And now you have an authority, ladies and gentlemen, that you can reach out, or if you know of someone in your family or in your circle who may need this type of assistance, you can reach out. This is what this is all about.
That's
And
right.
we're trying to bring this to you as not only as knowledge and a tool, but this is a resource. And Coach Lodge really kind of steering us to where I'm looking at from those things, because a lot of this also deals with, let's just call it what it is, success. Many of us are in a place where we're chasing success, but we constantly hit, these invisible walls, our own walls, our own dream killers, as you say. But what is, something that somebody from your book, because again, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is about the book. I want you to go out and buy the book. But what can someone take from your book that could, I don't want to say immediately, but can help them unlock that process in their pursuit of success?
You have to be determined, man. I mean, the bottom line is you recognize the challenge. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to say problem. I substitute the word challenge with problem. You recognize the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, what are you going to do about said challenge?
Mm-hmm.
Either allow it to continue, or or start doing something that's going to help alleviate the issue.
Right.
Now, it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
These I give you practical solutions in after every chapter. There's a workbook, and recently
Mm-hmm.
I developed a card for the workbook. I mean, for the book, that says after you read the book and you still want to do something about it, enroll in my boot camps. I got a boot camp coming
Mm-hmm.
up in I believe it's June the 6th on distractions.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
so somebody might say, hey, I read the book. What's next? I have these challenges. I want to overcome these challenges. What's next? Well, you roll in my 4-week boot camp, and then we take it from there. So
Mm-hmm.
so you have to determine what it is that you want after you've identified that challenge, that toxic habit that's holding you
Mm.
back. Because
I love it.
let's face it, you might be dealing with excuses, procrastination, and time management. Guess what? They all interface with each other,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. They do.
If you think about the 7 deadly toxic habits, they all interface with each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is why
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to fall prey and say, "Man, I got to deal with at least four of those 7 toxic habits."
Mm. I love that, because for me, like in the book, I want to say it was chapter 3, and I want to say it was something. I want to say you opened the chapter with something about laziness,
Yep,
being the silent thief, I believe,
that's silent thief.
of dreams.
That's right.
And I think that's important, because I think laziness kind of falls into uh when you hit these roadblocks, and you just give up. And laziness to me is a form of giving up. And can you talk about that? Because then you go into, like, not just the physical, but the mental. Like, there's a whole lot in that chapter that I think is powerful for a lot of people to really pay
Uh-huh.
attention to and work through.
Uh-huh. There's a psychology of laziness, and
Mm-hmm.
so I wrote about laziness because I have a lot of siblings, but I
Mm-hmm.
spoke specifically about my brother Rory in the
Mm-hmm.
book. I mentioned his name, and I said he was a mama's boy, and
Right.
everywhere my mother went, he wanted to go. Everything that we were supposed to do, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't do. And
Mm.
so Rory was the crown meaning of laziness as out
Wow.
of all of my siblings.
Wow.
And so, but I understood laziness to be partly psychological, you
Mm-hmm.
see, and but he overcame it, and I tell people how he overcame his laziness to become one of the premier sought after estimator in New York City in the construction industry. He's a genius
Mm,
to that.
right.
So laziness didn't hold him back. That probably was a springboard for him to move forward. You see,
Mm,
because he overcame something that was problematic in the beginning, but realizing later on in life, man, I gotta do something about this.
wow. Wow. Look, that's incredible. And I want to say, I apologize to our friends on Facebook. I don't know what happened. I think we dropped the live stream, but we're back. We're here. So I hope you're coming back in. I apologize. That technology, like they say, can't live with it, and we can't live without it. So these things happen.
Right, right.
So apologize for that. But those are great points. And Coach La, I wanna transition
Uh-huh.
to you've coached now and spoken, and now you're an author. With this book, um, what impact would you want the seven deadly toxic habits, dream killers, to have on someone's life? Let's just say within 6 months to a year of one, actually purchasing and buying your book?
Wow, that's an interesting question because um I'm having that impact even now when people
Oh,
are reading the book and they said, "Man, that information that you gave me in chapter so and so was great information," because you never know what a person needs until you present it to them.
right.
See, and so recognizing that these seven deadly toxic habits are universal, I could go in between them and weave them together and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that this can be one of my toxic habits that's sabotaging your goal. You
Yep.
have to recognize the patterns in real time. You have to recognize what's sabotaging you in real time.
Right.
It can't be, oh man, I missed it. No, you got it. So what are you going to do now that you have it?
Yeah.
Are you going to allow it to continue, or are you going to do something about it?
Mm.
See, laziness, the psychology of laziness, you can overcome laziness. You can
Mm-hmm.
overcome distractions.
Right.
You now there are people that are habitual excuse makers,
That's for sure.
but you can overcome making excuses.
That's right. That's
At
right.
some point, you got to say, "Look, I'm derailing my own self because I'm making this excuse." You make
Mm-hmm.
excuse, it keeps you back from more money,
Mm-hmm.
missed opportunities, right?
Right.
Making people are not are less inclined to believe you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not credible,
Right.
not reliable.
Right.
Miss opportunity in terms of money.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Don't if you continue to make excuses,
Mm.
you see, and then
Yep.
time management fits all right on in there.
Mm. You talk about, even like now, it just makes me think, like, I want to say in the book, I don't remember what chapter, but one of the takeaways I think you had mentioned was about, having awareness, and how awareness is power. And like, I guess, like, how do you help people recognize that? Because sometimes people, like you say, you make excuses, we're lazy, but a lot of times people just don't have the self-awareness. So what conversation, do you have? Because I agree with that, and I don't remember what chapter that was, but I do remember reading, and it just stood out to me.
Mhm.
Because if you do not take the time, one, to put in the work, but then create this self-awareness about, who you are, what your purpose is, you have to recognize these things. So how do you help people recognize that? Because knowledge is power. You have awareness, that's power. And I think those are foundational for me, from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and where I am and what I'm doing. But how do you help people work to get to that point? Because so many of us are just so unaware of everything because of what we're talking about, these deadly habits and these toxic deadly that cream that really kill our dreams. How do you work with someone to get them to really understand awareness and what they're doing? Because I think that's critical.
Right. So sometimes there's a pattern to people's excuse making. There's a pattern in real time to people's time management, and my wife can vouch for this. She and I are two different individuals, and when it comes to time management, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm so time management focused. I'm aware that I have to be at a certain place, and so I'm plotting ahead and not allowing certain things to come up to become a hindrance or an obstacle.
Yeah.
Being aware that okay, when I have to be somewhere, these things come up, or you allow them to come up,
Right.
and it throws you off. You have to be aware in real time. And if you ask the client, well, what went on when you had to make the decision? What were you thinking? What were you doing? Or I was watching
Right.
TV. So every time you have to do something, the TV's on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's focus on that. You're
Yeah.
aware that watching TV is a distraction or can be a distraction for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let me do that. So you reel it in, you pinpoint what it might be,
Right.
you get the person to open up and say, yeah, okay, so let's turn that TV off. Let's try turning the TV off.
Right.
So he's aware that he's watching TV when he's supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Something's not gonna get done.
So, I love that because Lori, like she said, awareness is also freeing, and it truly is. Being aware is so freeing. And I'm listening to this because, like, there's so many, and like you said, all of these things, these habits, and these things tie in so much. Because I'm listening, awareness is also, and like what you were just saying, being aware your surroundings and what's going on. But would you consider that also? A part of like procrastination, because you also talk about like just like in my mind of just from the things that I read, you know, procrastination is one of those things. I think you said it was something about a delay that matters the most.
Yeah,
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 and so it's not just about putting things off, right? And
right.
it's really about trading what matters the most um for doing something that's simple or easier for me to do instead of putting in the work. Now, how important? Because I thought that was very key too. Like, how do we really help someone really understand? You're really trading off time so that you don't have to face this monster or this thing for you to get over that next hurdle. So how do you work with people to get through that? Because that was a really great wordplay in my mind. So I'm like, yeah, sometimes I'm sitting there even for 2 mics up. I know I
Right.
need to get this done, but a lot of times I'll trade off the little tick off things just so I don't like because I'm not ready to do that. So how do you help people like really face let's face this monster and stop procrastinating and get over this wall?
So one of the things I do, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm not big on long-term goals.
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
gonna explain why. With a long-term goal, if I say I want to focus and do that in a year, my mind can't go a year like that. So I
Right.
said short-term goals, 30, 60, and 90-day goal plans.
Mm-hmm.
Once I have a 30, 60, and 90-day goal plan, it's easy for me to hit a 30-day goal plan and focus on the next 30 and then the next 30. And then once you have those 3 months and you tick them off, then
Mm-hmm.
you got another 30, 60. All of a sudden, you've accomplished more than you thought you could in a
Good point.
year's time using
Very
the
good point.
short-term goal format.
Very good. Very good point.
And a lot of my clients, they know that I focus a lot on short-term goals.
Mm.
I tell them, I said, why are you putting this off when you know it has to get done?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, and like I had a 25-page paper to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I delayed it. And I had to make an excuse. Knowing I made an excuse, right? I know I
Right.
put it off. It was 25 pages, man.
Yeah.
I probably got 12 pages in on the day it had to get done. But my professor recognized, he says, okay, I'm going to give you another week.
Mm-hmm.
Delayed gratification, knowing it had to get done. And I
Right.
put it off
Right.
anyway. And look
Mm.
what it cost me.
Yeah.
See,
More
people have
stress.
to understand procrastination will cost you more than you want to pay. So knowing that
Yeah,
you
never lie. I mean, I
delay that gratification because of procrastination, why? It makes no sense.
mm, right. No sense at all. So true. So true, brother. Look, Coach La or Coach LA, we've come to the back half and we're coming to the back end of this hour that we've spent just really diving into the book. And as we close, I do want to take a moment just to ask you, because there's a second part to this, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching live or you're watching this on the replay, or if you're streaming this, across your favorite audio, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to Two Mics Up, Coach La has the book tour. He's going to be here in the DMV area, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
So I
sir.
want to allow you. I want to allow you to take a few moments, talk about the upcoming tour. Where can people come out, meet you, greet you, buy a copy in person, and all of the great things that you have going on? So take a moment, Coach.
Absolutely. So if you want to get a copy of this coach in the book, you can go to my website, www.coachingaccountability.com. Click the link and get a copy, or you can go directly to Amazon and get your copy there, but it won't be signed. Again, you can go to my website, which is www.coachingaccountability.com, and get your very own copy. I'll sign it, send it off to you. I will be in the DMV area May the 23rd at the Ashland Conservatory. I believe that's in Manassas, if I'm not mistaken, from 12 to 4, answering questions, living the dream, signing autographs, man, just being among the people, loving on the people, man, showing the people some love. And then I'll be back here in Somerville, South Carolina, I believe in June. And then I'll be in New York in July, I believe July the 18th, location unknown as of right now. But if you want that copy, go to my website, get that copy. If you want to meet me in the DMV area, I'll be in Virginia on May the 23rd from 12 to 4 at the Ashland Conservatory. It's the clubhouse, as we would call it. Signing books, man, talking about life, talking about what inspired me, and just being among my people, man. Great, being thankful and thanking you, dear. I hope to see you out there, man.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. We gonna make a trip. We're gonna come out and support. We'll make sure we put all of that in the show notes, and we'll continue to support. And we'll go ahead and do some
I
posts,
appreciate
social
it.
media posts. Man, we'll get it out to the people here in the DMV. Please, also take a moment. Let them know, man, your social media, man. Where can they find you at? On your social
Oh
media.
man, I am on LinkedIn, Coach LA. I'm on Facebook, Coach LA Speaks. I'm on Instagram, Coach LA Speaks. I'm on TikTok, Coach LA Speaks. Everything is Coach LA Speaks. I'm on YouTube, getting ready to promote that channel, Coach LA Speaks, as well. So I'm easy to find, man, not hard to find. I think people run away because they don't want accountability, but I seem to chase them down with accountability. So thank you, D.
Hey, my pleasure, man. It's been an honor and a privilege to have you here, tonight to share your work. Make sure,
Absolutely.
ladies and gentlemen, you follow Coach, online and social media, everything. You can find him, Coach LA Speaks. Go out and share this information with someone in your circle. If you know someone who seems to run away from accountability. And here we have it from Lori in the chat. Thank you, Lori. We will go ahead, like I said, and put that in the show notes. You
Hmm.
can come out on May 23rd, come out, support, chop it up with Coach. Get yourself a signed autograph book, take some pictures, have some fun, man. Just doing what we do each and every day, man. When we get together, it's nothing but love in the family, nothing but love in the community. And this is what we do here, two mics up. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to take a moment to just kind of go through a couple of other things. Two mics up. We will be back next week. We'll be talking everything about the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk a little championship run now as we're getting down to the finals, Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We seen the Lakers take a loss recently. Unfortunate sweep for the Lakers. I'm gonna shout out my Knicks doing what they do. Another sweep, taking care of business in Philly. We're looking at Cleveland and Detroit still going. OKC, man, they looking strong. We still waiting to see what goes on with Wemby, his Spurs, and the Timberwolves. And thank you, Lord. May 23rd, 12 to 4 p.m. Come on out, have some fun. And lives in New York City. But he will be in New York, and he did say he will be in New York. So stay tuned for that. When we get the dates, we will let you know. And I thank you, Ann, for tuning in, faithful follower and supporter of the show. We'll make sure we put that in on LinkedIn. And if you want to go ahead and get a copy and you want to sit down and talk with Coach, you'll have an opportunity to do so. And I hope it's near wherever you are in New York City and that
Amen.
you can make it. So thank you again, Ann. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Myself, Clifton Durham, my co-host, Big A, Sam Adams. My brothers out doing what they do in the community and doing the work that they do. Not here with me tonight, but we also appreciate them for their work and support that they do each and every week. I'm just going to drop these comments. I see a couple of more coming in. Yep, July, and so there you have it. It'll be July, and New York City is happy about the Nick. That's right. That's what we do. That's what we talking about. That's what we talk about, and we can have a whole show. Come back next week. We'll have plenty to talk about our Knicks. Exactly, go Knicks, and yes, I promise you, we will let you know about the book tour as well. Coming to see you. Uh, and as I was saying, if you are new to Mike's Up, I don't know how, but make sure you go out and subscribe. You can go ahead and like us, IG, Facebook, Twitter, X. You can subscribe, become a follower. Join the Two Mics Up tribe, become a Mike Scriber. We really appreciate your support. I mean, things are really exploding on YouTube. Our last month has seen us explode with over 12,000 views with our shorts and things like that. Our viewership is really taking off. So I thank you all for continuing to support. Thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate you. Uh, couldn't do this without Coach. And the friendship and the family and the
Right.
fellowship goes beyond just two mics up. This is
That's right.
something in the making. This goes back to, I don't know, what do we call it, table 7 or table 13 or whatever it was many
Yeah.
years ago. And so all we're doing is continuing on with that. And yes, and I will connect with you on LinkedIn. Not a problem at all. I look forward to continuously talking to you. And like we do, ladies and gentlemen, before we close, I just want to take a minute to just kind of leave you with a closing thought, and some closing remarks. Coach LA, I really appreciate you, brother, for joining us, like I said, and really dropping, that wisdom and sharing, your breath of work, that you do each and every day with so many individuals that really need this type of guidance and help. And To everybody tuning in, I just want you to remember one thing, or just remember this if you can. Accountability is the first step, but action is what changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just hear the message, live it, apply it, and let it push you toward the next level. I'm Damon Cunningham, and this is Two Mics Up. And you know how we do at the end of each and every show. Ann is asking, before we go, how do you get on the show, Ann? You can go to our website. You can go to www.2micsup.com. You can go ahead, hit our contact information, and we'll sit down and we'll talk and we'll go through, your body of work. We're always looking for, we'll talk about anything and anyone because that's what this platform is for. It's for us, for our community. So you're more than welcome. Yes, everyone is connected in the world, and I look forward to it. And yes, Lori, that table and that day, because that was a whole day. And well, ladies, that we had to get you that story because that was monumental. A whole day of fun, family and friends, just sitting at a
Yeah.
table in a restaurant. Table 13. We closed.
Yeah.
I think we opened then closed the place. To be honest with you, but
Right.
it was
That's
a
right.
great day, and great memories, and lifelong friendship. So couldn't ask for more. So as we close out, if you want to follow me, I'm Damon Cunningham, and this is Two Mics Up. You can follow us on our social media, IG, Facebook, X, YouTube, at Two Mics Up. We're a 4-time award-winning talk show. Sometime in the near future, hoping to go ahead and make that 5. And like we do each and every week, we sit down, we have real talk, some of the dopest guests around, people that are really shining in our communities that don't get the highlight and the talk that they deserve. But we hope that we do a great job of bringing that to you each and every week here on Two Mics Up. So I want to thank you. And like we do at the end of each and every show, ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with 3 things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.
Right.
007.